This is something that's interesting. That's going to become more and more prevalent and interesting with like photo cameras and also cell phone cameras. You have what they call computational photography.
Okay, yeah.
So you have things where like traditionally, if you want to create a nice blurry background in a photograph, you got to have a bigger sensor. You have to have a lens with a large aperture, and that's how you create this blurry background.
Right.
But now you can even Skype now has this blur background, like one button click thing, and it's not as good, but it's only going to get better.
Right. If you can do face and head detection based upon the features of your face, and we've been working on that forever, and we're getting pretty good at it, very good at it. If you can do that, then you can blur the background.
This camera has eye detect focus, where it tracks your eyeball, and then when you take the picture, it like takes a picture.
Right. Yeah.
Focuses on your eyeball.
Cameras will wait until everyone's smiling and have their eyes open before taking a photo.
This has that.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Or it's got it doesn't have that. It's got this like selfie mode where when you smile, it takes a picture.
Yeah.
Right. So this kind of computational stuff. I don't know where I was going with that.
Oh, it's just you talk about computational photography where you're simulating all these like effects of what a lens would do, and yeah, it's completely true.
All right, yeah. So like in video conferencing, there's no reason why. In fact, they should have done it a while ago.
Solve the gaze problem.
Yeah.
It's so subtle that like nobody really wants to like invest in it, I think. But it's in the uncanny valley then, and if people aren't looking at each other, they don't have a good conversation. But
if you've ever been in a long distance relationship,
yeah,
and you're doing a lot of video conferencing, your partner can be like, what are you working on? What are you doing? You know?
Exactly.
And you're like, I'm looking at you.
Exactly.
It just doesn't look like it.
Yeah. That's one of the problems with video conferencing. The first one is the gaze problem. It's not the biggest one, maybe. The next one is just technology bullshit, like glitches and like things not working and like the connection going down or whatever, which still happens even on like cell phone calls or telephone calls. And then the idea that you're not actually in the same space. So you're in a smaller space. So the idea is like, if you're in a room, that's the main space. If you're in VR, that's the main space. I find that like your brain is only able to be in one space at a time. But in this video conferencing thing, you're both in this little box, even though you're also in this bigger room. So it's this problem of like, you're not in it entirely. And when you are, you feel like confined.
In a way,
it's sort of this crappy virtual box that you're in.
The traditional phone call creates a much more engaging virtual reality than current video conferencing.
Yeah. Something about that. Yeah, there's something there for sure. I've had definitely immersive phone call experiences, but I've never had an immersive video conference.
No, it's always frustrating.
Yeah,
oftentimes frustrating.
Yes. And no one likes them. No one truly likes them. No one's like, oh, I'll call my friend on the video phone. They're like, oh, I'll call my friend on the telephone and have a conversation. That's fun. But the video calls are not. They're not immersive in some ways. It's not a box you want to be in. You don't want to be in that box. It's something like that.
Furthermore, if you have like a streamer setup where you're using a proper camera and a proper microphone and proper lighting, you can make pre-compression a really compelling image.
Right.
But most people just use their built-in microphone and camera of their laptop or whatever.
Yeah.
They're not normally very high quality.
You know, the Kinect had a video conference mode, had Skype, and it was great. Xbox One Kinect, because I could sit on the couch with my wife or whatever, and the camera would have this intelligent algorithm to pan and zoom kind of as it was going. And that way you'd feel like you were in the space together, because I'd see the people I'm talking to, they'd see us, and they'd see that we weren't engaged in any other activities. And we didn't have a gaze problem either.
But that's a group conference call instead of like a one-on-one conference call.
Yeah,
right?
but because it wasn't a notebook also or a phone, the camera was far enough away that the gaze problem didn't happen. And you could look at the person and it looked like they were looking at you. It was pretty damn close to being pretty excellent, just on the Xbox. It wasn't like some fancy corporate video conferencing system.
Do you think that when Skype is streaming video, is it doing video compression?
Well, yeah. I mean, the client.
So, like, how's that different than game streaming?
Well, latency is important, right? You don't want a lot of latency in a conversation. So just like a game, latency is important.
Right. But is Skype saying, well, because we need to have intra-frame compression,
okay,
we're going to, on purpose, have a 1 second delay?
They may do a quarter second. Even a quarter second gives you like 6-8 frames to compress across. You don't want that quarter second in a video game though. Like that's going to be a lot.
Do you know?